Hey, my name is Alex, I'm from Toronto, and I turned 18 just last month. I'm recording this video as a short memento to myself to understand the life lessons that I've learned in my 18 orbits around the sun, and I hope to use this as a tool to my younger self and to all of you out there in the world to spread the lessons that I've learned in my short time on this earth. So without further ado, let's get into the 18 lessons that I've learned at 18. 1. Travel outside of your country and outside of your continent. Perspectives on life, beauty, love, culture, food. There's an abundance of human knowledge in these domains that shouldn't and can't remain untouched. There's so much unobvious learning to be had when surrounded by foreign environments and modes of thinking. You connect much easier with others and build a view of the world that acts very much in your advantage. You know more because you've seen more and you've seen firsthand, and firsthand evidence is the best you'll ever get. 2. Envision a life for yourself. Where do you want to be in 30 years? 20? 10? 5? What about next year? People lose a lot of time wallowing around, unsure of what they want to do. Exploration isn't a bad thing, but wandering aimlessly for weeks quickly turns into months, into years, and into a lifetime. You don't ever want to feel that you've been robbed of your time by some unknown force, which, unconsciously, was you. Some people suggest building backwards from a vision, but I argue that's pretty irrational to do. But you can create a rough sketch. Think about telling a story of reaching your 60-year-old self. What landmarks are unmissable? What steps did you take, both daily and in the macro, to get to those landmarks? What stories do you want to tell? What do you want your grandchildren to know you for? 3. Explore interests and build passion. Nothing is exclusively self-motivated, but there are times in childhood that you just feel extreme joy at something. If you can reconnect with that moment, that's a helpful tool in getting to the point of discovering something that really makes you happy. Exploring is a necessary tool in life to find things you like doing. If you never try new things, you'd be a boring person with not much going for you. However, not many people realize that the passionate people around them, the ones achieving true mastery, haven't just loved what they practice out of nothingness. They've built that passion by practicing day in, day out. If it were easy to get to their level, nobody would really value their achievements. The word passion itself comes from the Latin root word passio, which means to suffer or to endure. It is thus, in suffering, that an immense love is built. 4. Work on projects that you care about. 4 years of high school seems like a lot. Ask any senior. It is not. As Cicero said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. But when it is wasted in heedless luxury and spent on no good activity, we are forced at last by death's final constraint to realize that it has passed away before we knew it was passing. So it is. We are not given a short life, but we make it short, and we are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it. Life is long if you know how to use it." Once you find an interest, don't be afraid to dedicate time to hard projects in that field. Most of the time, the hard projects are the only ones worth doing. 5. Find the right people. Society sets us up as teenagers with a set circle. Teammates on sports teams, friends at school, etc. What it doesn't teach us is finding the right people for your circle. I find that for highly motivated people, they must be surrounded by other high achievers to achieve their true potential. Otherwise, they shrivel and die. It sounds weird, but you have to be selfish in this respect. Don't bend down to people who truly aren't on your side, because they will stifle your greatness. There has only ever been, and only ever will be, one you, and you need to prioritize that. How do you do this? Well, go on Twitter or Discord and search for young, motivated people in the same groups as you. Meet people on campus, especially at schools that amalgamate driven leaders. Do hackathons. In 5 years, these modes of communication might be outdated, but I'm sure there will be congregations of great people to be found. 6. Think macro. In all areas of life, we restrict our thinking to the possibilities that we've experienced. The career paths we ever consider are linear: doctor, lawyer, investment banker, etc. There's really no incentive to challenge the norm because these jobs are highly coveted because they pay well, offer stability, and have a clear path to achieving them. If they're your passions, that's perfectly fine. But it's worth asking the question, what if? What if the passion of being a doctor could lead you to conduct groundbreaking research on cancer? What if your fascination with finance led to you starting a hedge fund? What if you use your legal knowledge to create a law tech startup? There are infinite ways to make a deeper impact with your life and career, and it's not ever worth restricting yourself to any one thing at such a young age. 7. Be noble. Underrated in our current world, being a kind, caring, humble, compassionate person. At the end of the day, you're the only person responsible to answering the questions of your conscience. Did I do the right thing? Did I purposely wrong people? It's infinitely better to have, if not a clean conscience, at least an accountability system to yourself when you veer away. It makes living life easier. The second order effects of being a noble person are extraordinary. People look to you for guidance, you build trust in relationships with teachers, mentors, and friends, and you become a more content person for it. You don't hide from your true self because you feel proud of the person you are. 8. Avoiding dopamine traps. Our ecosystem, whether social media or video games, are fundamentally designed to excite dopamine spikes in the brain to create a physiological dependence from which advertisers and publishers make exorbitant amounts of money. For most, it's practically impossible to stay off of these platforms, but at the very least, it's crucial to be critical of how we use them and for how long. Andrew Huberman has a great series on understanding dopamine and dopamine regulation, which I highly recommend everyone listen to. At the end of the day, these are all pursuits that take time away from the goals we truly want to spend our time pursuing, whether me creating this video or working on a new project. I find that the ability to detach from the virtual world will be an increasingly valuable skill, and those able to disconnect from the constant light shows will be richly rewarded. 9. Taking care of the body. Building respect for the one piece of yourself that you'll never lose. How can you respect others when you don't make the time to respect yourself? Being outside is fundamental to human nature. It sets our circadian rhythms and regulates our hormones, which help us function over the course of the day. There have been numerous studies on the positive effects of daily sun exposure, and you can find much more information from Andrew Huberman's podcast, which again, I highly recommend. The easiest thing by far is going outside every morning and spending 10 minutes waking up, breathing fresh air and watching the sunrise. Being active, whether through team sports or the gym, is also crucial to long-term life satisfaction. These pursuits promote organ function, create social connection, and teach skills like resilience that will be ever more important through high school and beyond. Stay active every day. Lastly, take care of what you eat. If you're stuffing your body with junk, you can only expect to perform like junk. Stick to fruits and vegetables, a variety of proteins, while cutting out excess sugars and hyper-processed foods with empty calories. 10. You're young. Focus on building knowledge. For most of you, being young means your life is paid for. You don't have to worry about putting a roof over your head or a meal on the table for your children. This gives you both the monetary and temporal freedom to spend your time exploring the caverns of human knowledge. If something sparks your interests, you have the privilege of spending weeks diving down a rabbit hole researching it, listening to experts, and sharing your own ideas. It may be non-obvious, but it is something that you can do. Of course, you have other responsibilities, but no one expects you to build the next SpaceX experimenting with rockets in your basement, except for maybe yourself. But don't use the excuse of quote-unquote focusing on school to rob you of a lifelong quest in the pursuit of knowledge. All of humanity's work across the sciences and the arts is available to you at your fingertips, and not making the most of that availability is doing yourself and the world a disservice. 11. Read. Your brain learns the most while it's still developing, and one of the best ways to learn anything, whether a new language or to write well, is through reading. I cannot stress just how important reading the classics has been in my development as a human being. It teaches you beauty, tragedy, storytelling, everything imaginable. What's amazing to me is that it is the equivalent of holding a conversation with the most eloquently spoken people the world has ever seen. So why not take advantage of that opportunity? Read about what interests you, but I'd also dedicate the time to reading the founding works of humanity. Shakespeare's plays, epics like The Count of Monte Cristo, Dostoevsky. There's so much out there that my list of recommendations would be never ending, but readers have subtle ways of finding their next book. 12. Putting in the effort. The only regret I've ever felt in my life was not putting in more work when I felt I had it in me. Not performing to the standard that I, subconsciously, knew I had to push the envelope to achieve. This isn't to glorify working 100 hours a week or sacrificing sleep and family time, but rather to value the working time you do have to its full potential. The world's highest functioning people all have the same 24 hours in their day, yet to most outsiders, it looks like they get much more done. The key is that when they're working, they're always on. They're paying full attention to meetings, leading team conversations, creating new products. And at the end of the day, they can turn off and go to rest, knowing that they've given their full effort to the tasks at hand. To me, that's some of the most comforting sleep anyone can ever experience. 13. Don't focus on college religiously. There are so many college YouTubers and Instagrammers that post surface level insane stats with their acceptances and rejections that they seem to be all that's recommended to me anymore. You instinctively want to be one of the students featured, subconsciously comparing your stats to theirs and seeing whether you have the chance of getting in. This mindset doesn't benefit anybody. It promotes a singular obsession with a zero-sum game that leads teenagers to anxiety, depression, and suicide. These YouTubers don't care because they're making money. The sooner you're able to zoom out and realize that college isn't this mythical utopia everyone makes it out to be, the sooner you're able to take a level-headed approach and realize that admission or rejection isn't all that important. Your convictions are. 14. Know yourself. We spend so much of our lives consumed with other people, whether speaking face-to-face or scrolling through social media, that we don't truly know ourselves, what we like, what we want to do with our lives. We're stuck on a narrow path that's laid out for us without making it our own. My biggest piece of advice is deliberately taking moments out of the day to unplug, unwind, and think. A walk with no music is usually the best remedy. Spend some time thinking about your goals, your relationships, the way you're spending your time, and whether it's aligned with what you want to get out of your life. Frankly, if you're not chasing a life that you want to live, is anything else worth doing? Keeping a journal has also helped tremendously. Keeping track of your own thoughts and feelings, looking back and reading through old entries can transport to entirely new levels of consciousness and growth. 15. Practice writing and speaking. At the moment, we have no way to practice telekinesis, so our only two options for communication are writing and speaking. Communication is at the heart of everything we do as a social species, from updating our friends about our lives to convincing others to believe in a certain philosophy. In my view, there's no greater superpower than being able to get swaths of people on your side through written and oral communication. Looking back through the ages, the words spoken by the world's most famous people are nearly as important as the things they did. When people think of you, the ones who haven't spoken to you, they'll think about the way in which you wrote and spoke, how it made them feel. Truthfully, practicing writing every day is one of the habits you won't ever regret. 16. Build self-reliance. You learn pretty quickly that there won't always be someone holding your hand in life. You'll find yourself alone, confused, and afraid. In those moments, you yourself are the person you want to put all of your trust in. Develop the skill of figuring things out. The next time you can't figure out how to do something, instead of Googling it or asking ChatGPT or asking one of your classmates, wait a second and really think how you might do it. By doing this over and over, you slowly prove to your subconscious self that you are, in fact, a capable person. And when the situation arises where you truly need to be self-reliant, getting lost in the wilderness maybe, you'll be confident enough in yourself not only to survive, but to thrive in that uncertainty. 17. Find mentors you trust. A mentor is anyone further down your path than you are and can guide you along your journey, whether accelerating your progress or helping you avoid some of the mistakes they've made on their path. It's like a supercharger of progress, helping you get where you need to go, even if you don't exactly know where that might be just yet. Perhaps the easiest way to find a mentor is simply by sending them a message or an email, showing them some work that you've done that makes you proud and is relevant to their field. There's no guarantee that they'll even see it, let alone respond, but the opportunities you open by sending a simple email are plentiful. 18. Be grateful. The chance that you exist, watching this video in your current human form, are so infinitesimally small that even if I told you the number, your brain wouldn't comprehend it. In the moments where it feels that nothing is going right and that life sucks, take a moment to step back, appreciate that you exist, and be grateful for all of the circumstances that you've been born into and all of the good things that you've worked very hard to achieve. Complaining doesn't serve you. Gratitude does. It makes you a more conscious and grateful person. If you resonated with any of the content in this video, please leave a like and share it with a friend. And lastly, I'd just like to say a quick hello to future Alex. I can't believe the things that you're going to achieve with your life, and I'm sure you'll be very proud of yourself as you look back on this video.